Welcome back. I'm Alexander Hain. This is Matt Severa, and we're here for round three of Team Draft Super League. When you joined us last week, if you did, Dem Boyz were up 3-1. This week, we're down 3-1, unfortunately.
All right, all right. I'm just glad I got one. So
Yeah, you had a pretty sick match against Siggy. Actually, it looked like.
yeah, that was pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching, and I guess the commentators and you guys watching could probably maybe see that Siggy was going to get decked as the game progressed. And
Yeah.
but it's a different thing to be in the seat and to have that as your game plan and see it through. And so,
Yeah. I
good
mean,
job.
it's pretty much how I drew it up. That's why I draft Boros, so I
Yeah.
can deck my opponent. So
A plus. So, have you played two matches now, or
yeah.
yeah?
I
So you lost
played,
to Steve.
Yep, I played Steve in round one and got smashed. He glory bringing me right out, so
Yeah.
it wasn't so great.
Yeah, I hope we get the decider between you and me. That'll be an exciting one.
Oh, I haven't
Yeah.
I haven't looked at your deck yet. Is it
No.
good? Let's see.
Oh no, it's not
All
good.
right, excellent.
But
That's good. I have a chance.
Sam crushed me in the first round, and I lost a pretty close one to Justin this
Yeah.
past round. But
Yeah, Sam's deck is great.
yeah, it is. His deck looks really strong. So
Pretty much beating on my teammates this time.
yeah, I'm a bit scared because he still gets to play two more rounds, and you guys already have 3 wins, and 5 is the magic number. So somebody's going to have to stop Sam, and maybe it's going to be Steve. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve. Steve's deck is pretty good. He got me with Neheb and Glorybringer, and I don't know. So
Glorybringer is always a good magic card to have in your deck, right?
Yeah, it did play out pretty well after all, actually. So
surprising.
yeah, yeah.
So how did you feel about the draft? Do you think like the quality of the decks is like high compared to average or below average? Did you have a chance to look at the draft viewer?
I would say I haven't looked at the draft viewer yet. All my matches just took forever, so I've just basically been playing. I think it just like judging by my teammates' decks and like Sigra's deck, I think it's probably average. Like I think my deck is weak. I felt like I was getting cut a lot, and I shipped you guys just basically all of the black, green, and blue you wanted. So
yeah,
there you go. I was just happy to find out that after all that blue kept going around, that it was my teammates that had it. So
yeah,
I mean, I was very certain that Siggy was not blue after Pack 2, and I was pretty sure that you weren't either. So yeah, I actually thought you were red-black for a bit, and then I had that pack that had Neheb and Javelin Air in it, and I took a pacifism over it, or a compulsory arrest rather. So I just
I was in a weird spot in the draft. I started off with a few white cards, but then Sam was clearly white, so I moved out. I had passed like some black early, so then moved into black, and then like I opened Samut in the second pack.
Okay.
And and I took that with the intent maybe I'm red black splash that or green black splash that or something, because white was clearly not going to come because I'd also passed some white, so like white looked like it was overdrafted the table.
Yeah, that's how I felt too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of cards. They're just mostly bad. I'm playing some
yeah. Yeah, we had the kind of the dregs, you and I guess. We'll have a good fight, I think. That's why I'm hoping to get to maybe try and redeem myself from my 0-2 start in this for the boys.
Do you have the schedule up? When do we play? Is it round 5 or 6?
Yeah, no, if you and I play, it's round 9. It's the
decider.
It's the decider if we play. That's why I'm hoping
I hope it doesn't
for it.
come to that.
Wow.
I really do.
Wow, I'm letting you guys get one more win before then. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's generous of you.
Yeah. Let it not be said that I was not a generous person.
Yeah.
So do you guys just draft a ton in Madison? Like I've been to draft camp a couple times there, and it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, our PT prep we draft a lot. I don't really draft all that much like after the PT. I usually just like don't have a ton of time. If there's a bunch of different GP formats, for instance. Sam and Justin draft a lot. Justin is, I mean, he puts in a lot of time if there's an event for it. So
Well, it seems like we're ready to go, so we'll take you to the match. Just a moment. All right, so we get to see Steve Rubin versus Justin Cohen, and looks like Justin's gonna have to mulligan here, I think.
Not hot, yeah.
No,
not keepable.
Whereas Steve's hand looks pretty solid.
Yeah, it's definitely reasonable.
He maybe got a land more than he would like, and he'd like to have like another cheap threat, but
yeah, he can spend his mana at least. So
right.
Yeah, I didn't get the I haven't seen his deck list. I should probably pull that up, but I didn't get the impression that his deck was like blazing fast or anything.
No, it's not super fast, but like he does have 2 final rewards and 2 deem worthies, so
yeah,
he's got some solid removal there, which hopefully it matches up well against Justin's deck. Justin has a lot of counter spells in his deck. Counter spells and flyers is kind of his plan.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Steve's hand matches up pretty well against Justin's opener.
Yeah, so it looks like.
Yeah, another land, not so hot. And so there was a third fling. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there were plenty of flings going around.
Yeah, I have 2 of them.
Yeah.
I was afraid of one in my match against Steve, but
yeah, I lost so quickly in both my matches that I had plenty of time to peruse the deck list. So Steve is a pretty good draw here.
Yeah, definitely.
He gets to sneak that underneath the cancel.
Mm-hmm.
And
Justin just has nothing going on.
Yeah, he kind of needs to draw his 1 magma spray really, and pretty quickly, I think.
I guess he has a couple things. I guess he's got like a commit memory and a magma spray.
Yeah, the commit memory is not quite what he'd hope for. Yeah, especially because it's going to get some damage in before that happens, both actual damage and as well as tearing apart Justin's hand. And I think Justin needs the resources more than Steve does. I think, and we'll see. We'll see what happens here. We'll see if Steve runs his Vizier into the cancel.
Yeah, I think I would. I don't know. I mean,
deck lists are public.
Yeah.
So you know that he's got 2 Essence Scatters, cancel and reduce, and you have the option to just cycle your.
Yeah, he could just pass the cycle. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, this is better.
I think and of course it works out much better for Steve, but
yeah.
So if you're Justin, I guess you probably play. You're kind of forced into playing your Aven here, right? But
I think so.
It's pretty bad for you. Either way, though, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's just horrible. I mean, you're just gonna lose if you pass. So play Aven and.
I mean, I think you want to attack first, and then see if maybe Steve blinks and doesn't. He should take 2 damage.
He doesn't care about 2.
Yeah. And Steve again makes the right play.
He is known to do that.
Sometimes, but that's why I have him as my teammate. But as someone who I played with, I also get to see the dark side, that nobody talks about. Yeah,
Sure.
But no, I'm pretty impressed with Steve, especially watching him. I watched him last week as well, and I liked how he played it a lot.
Yeah, he's obviously great.
Looks like Justin is in fact going to pass. So
right, he's not going to bite. So
it might work out. Well for him, depending. But the thing is, his hand is just going to get chipped away slowly.
Yeah, that hand's just going to eat him up.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could see if Steve bites here and plays a spell, but I mean, he really doesn't have to.
Yeah, he really doesn't have to play anything. Just going to discard this mountain and then play a swamp probably. Hold up final reward. Like if this keeps going, like it's not favoring Justin the way this is going, so He could
so
hold.
He doesn't play a swamp. He just wants to make sure he has a clean discard next turn.
Yeah. And he figures he'll draw the land for the final reward another time.
Sure.
So Justin draws. Yeah, Justin draws another counter spell, which is not really good when you're behind on board, and then a Castnet, which is not really good against.
But yeah, this is not going well.
It's not. No, not well. Depends on your perspective.
It depends on your view.
It's not going well for Justin here. I guess he's again gonna see how well passing works out for him.
I suspect.
Or is he going to finally bite and play a creature? The thing is, the Aven doesn't even do that much on this board, but
yeah, it doesn't. I just don't. Okay, so if you're Justin, you just hope that Steve has nothing. I mean,
if he has nothing, this is bad for you. You want to cast your spells if he has nothing, right?
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to make an argument for playing my spell because it's just this is not working.
No, it is not. And also discarding this Kefnet here, Steve knows 100% what's up. There's no doubt in his mind that there is a counter spell, at least one, possibly two, in Justin's hand. And I think Justin probably doesn't play this land here, right? He just passes like both of them just discarding land, and Justin's life total decreasing by 3 each turn. It's kind of, I'm not complaining. I'm pretty happy with how this goes, but
yeah, this is just.
I can't imagine that you're happy about it.
I'm not. I really don't know. This is just a horrible spot for Justin. There's really not a ton.
Yeah, he's just hoping to draw into Magma Spray, right? Or commit.
I guess. Yeah.
So he decides to play the land after all. So I'm not sure why he would play the land there. Can you think of a reason?
The only reason that I can think of is maybe like trying to build a better board for commit to memory eventually. If he just decided that he wants to discard his counter spells because they're not doing anything, and then maybe he can peel land and a commit to memory. But
yeah,
I don't know. It wouldn't be the worst if Steve.
Well, commit memory then land. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The problem is that he's running out of turns. That at some point Steve is going to actually, like the turn before lethal is going to happen, he's going to play his Vizier, right?
Yeah. He can one more hit and then he can just make it so he can empty his hand and then have 5 on the board. I guess he could do that, or he could play his Vizier this turn, which it looks like he's kind of thinking about. So he plays it, it gets countered, and then he just has a removal spell for Justin's next play, and then Justin takes 5 and discards whatever card he drew.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's probably it might be the right play even to play it now.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I think it's like close either way. I think Justin clearly didn't draw commit this turn, or he wouldn't have he drew the land, right? And so that's the only card that's really scary here.
Yeah.
That or Magma Spray, and then I think with that land, I think this game's basically over. I like Steve playing the land so that now if Justin's kind of forced into playing something that, or at least I thought Justin should have played something earlier, but now Steve can play his removal spell and then play his creature, emptying out his hand effectively.
So in theory, Justin can go Mountain, Initiate, pass, and then counter Steve's next play. I know he can't because he'll have to. Oh yeah, he has to keep the Mountain in his hand to do that, and then he can't have mana. Okay, so yeah, no, there's nothing he can do.
Yeah. So it's not over just yet, but it's almost over.
It's over.
I don't think Justin actually has outs, so.
I don't think so. Is there a Sweltering Suns I missed? I'm going to look at his list again.
No, he doesn't have Sweltering Suns, but he does have, he has the 4/4 that bounces a creature, but since Steve drew the Cursed Minotaur, that's not even really an out anymore because it just chump blocks for a turn. And there's the commit memory, but a little bit too late. Yeah. Ooh. Come on, Steve. Let's go. That was a nice one. I liked how that went because
it's okay for you guys, I suppose. So let's see. I guess if you're on the play, are we keeping your counter spells?
Yeah, I think definitely on the play the counterspell should be in. Even on the draw, like Steve has a lot of powerful threats. Like against the Glory Bringer deck, you kind of want to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve looks like he's bringing in some more cyclers. What? How are you thinking of approaching the matchup from Justin's side?
Well, if I'm on the play, I think I like my counter spells a little bit better. Steve's curve like is mostly threes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, look at Justin's twos here. Neff crops. Yeah, I think your best bet is to try to stick a two and counter a three or a four and just try to sneak in some damage. And just get ahead on board. Because Steve's deck is relatively clunky. It has a lot of big, powerful spells, but
So it looks like Steve is bringing in Scarab Feast and potentially cutting a land since he's on the draw and bringing in a cycler. That makes some sense. He's debating, looks like, between a mountain and swamp.
Did that fling leave? Look like it doesn't want to get it.
Yeah, it looks like Fling is gone.
And he's probably just not going to be.
He brought in one painful lesson, it looks like.
Okay.
He's got a lot of threes, and we'll see how it works out. It feels like basically if Steve can stick something powerful, that this matchup's going to favor him. But but if Justin can kind of counter Steve's big hitters, that he's got some like pretty powerful rares like Kefnet or even just his flyers that can kind of take a game away.
Yeah, I think I like Justin's chances on the play by a little bit, but on the draw, it looks like it matters a ton.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty big game, and I think I agree that I think Justin's probably favored going into game 2, but I like Steve going into game 3, though. Of course,
Right.
Essence Scatter is a card that can counter his 3 drops.
Yeah. It's
so yeah, I have a question for you. So you can notice that Justin's playing 2 Evolving Wilds in his 2-color deck. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like playing Evolving Wilds in 2-color decks?
I think with his curve he can, because it's mostly 2s and very few 1s, right? So I don't. Most of the decks that I draft they want to play 1-drops, so I can't really play Evolving Wilds. But I think I definitely don't hate it in his deck. He has some doubles.
Yeah.
Got to be able to cast that crab, you know.
That's true. It's just it is just pretty awkward because he also is somewhat mana hungry. So when you draw it as a land later in the game, it's very costly.
Very true.
So here, looks like the Hone Kopesh is going to bring some beatdowns here. I guess now Justin has the option of playing his crab, but I think in his seat I would equip and then probably play the Entangler after attacking.
Like yeah.
In the following turn, you can move the equipment onto the Entangler and attack and play the crab.
Right. Or you could just jam a...
Yeah, jam both. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I probably rather 3-2.
Yeah, you trade the zombie for your Entangler, but at least you can exert it when you attack and you get a bunch of damage in.
Right. Yeah.
So I think this is Steve's attacking. Justin's not going to block, right?
And
then
this is gonna work out well for Steve.
Yeah, he's gonna have a 5/4 menace and versus a 3/3.
Yep.
And Justin doesn't. Again, without his commit memory, he doesn't actually have a really good answer to a permanent in play.
Yeah, his interaction is just not great in this game.
Yeah, if he really leans heavily, I think, on his counter spells to be able to interact. He kind of is hoping that powerful cards don't actually manage to hit play.
Yep. Unfortunately, one did.
So
5/4.
So this is, I guess, Ancient Crab might end up getting discarded to Tormenting Voice. It's kind of living the dream. But
yeah,
for here, I think he's just going to jam a flyer into play.
I would play the flyer.
Yeah. So normally you could consider like attacking here and maybe bluffing that you have something, but first of all, this format there's nothing really that punishes Steve that badly for blocking. Like there's he could have brute strength, I guess, or magma spray. But Steve knows Justin only has one magma spray in his deck, and
yeah, but even if even if deck lists weren't public, there's just not that much.
Exactly, in blue red, yes.
I think you're just happy to make that trade, honestly. Like,
yeah, for brute strength as well. If there's nothing that can pump its toughness enough, really, right, or give it first strike. So it's pretty rough here for Justin, I think.
I think so. So yeah, just play this and pass. Steve can just Splendid Agony.
Yeah. So Steve decides he wants to trade damage, though I guess he offers up the potential trade, which is not really tempting from Justin's side. Like obviously Steve has a trick which he does. Justin got completely blown out, but even without that, he's still losing his whole board, leaving him with a Tormenting Voice and an Ancient Crab, which is not exactly the dream scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think you play here, Steve? I think it looks like he's going with Cursed Minotaur, which is also what I would play.
Okay.
If Justin didn't have the Hone Kopesh, then you could play the 2/3 reach, but because of that, it's actually he gets to still attack for 4 in the air.
Any thought to just casting Splendid Agony on the Initiate?
I'd consider it, but I think it looks like Steve is planning he wants to get his threats into play because Justin has all these Essence Scatters. So if he feels like while Justin does have cancel and reduce, he can still play around those also with an instant and then untap and play something else on his turn.
Sure.
So getting the threat into play is more effective, and he's basically looks like he's willing to trade damage. So we hear from the back tables that Sam has defeated Siggy. So you guys are up 4-1.
All right.
Good spot. So let's Siggy and I are both 0-2 in this draft. Not a good feeling, but looks like Steve is maybe on his way to being 2-0. So
yeah, this is looking pretty good for Steve.
Cross my fingers, of course, but
it's too bad you guys both drafted black green. I mean, it's too bad for him. But.
Yeah, so Steve though continues not to draw land, which kind of gives Justin a way back into it. Just Justin doesn't actually have anything that hard hitting at this point.
Well, yeah, Steve's board is still just like more threatening than Justin's.
Right, and the Splendid Agony, like at some point, Justin's gonna have to double block one of these creatures, and then disaster might strike if he decides to double. Yeah, if he's going for this double block.
Yeah, this will be bad for us.
It's not. Wouldn't be that bad because actually you still only lose one creature, but
yeah, but you still have like nothing on board.
Yeah, I mean, you might even shrink he might if that block happened, he probably shrinks the grab and the flyer and kills the 3/3.
Yeah, see that.
Whereas if the other block happens, he just lets it go damage happen, I think. And probably plays his 2/3 reach, or maybe he just takes the opportunity to Splendid Agony on the flyer.
Yeah, it just seems like if you don't trade, I mean, if you Splendid Agony the flyer and you just don't give Justin outs to get damage in, you just kind of shut him out of the game. But
yeah,
yeah.
No, I agree. I think that. Yeah, basically Justin's down to so few resources. He has one card in hand. He has a bunch of lands, but because of the Hone Kopesh, he's basically like he has 4 permanents in play and his lands. He's 1 card in hand, where Steve has 6. So any exchanges that Steve can make to like prolong the game so that he can start drawing lands and casting his spells are generally going to benefit him.
Yeah, the top of Justin's deck isn't even particularly live. He has like an Angler Drake and like a Manticore for like powerful spells that he can draw, and then he can't even cast his 6s yet.
This is interesting. So Steve looks like he wants to kill the crab, which makes sense. He's going to leave Justin with. He could just, I guess, trade and play something else, but he probably is going to put one counter on the Aven and one counter on the mentor.
Yeah, I think he would not want to trade. It's like
it seems pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, if you have the opportunity not to do that, then why you get to shrink both of Justin's creatures and kill off a crab.
Yeah,
seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
Again, just slowing the aggression. Like Justin gets to attack for 4 damage, but Justin's going to be at 10 life with Steve having 8 power in play. Like it's not a winning proposition for him really, unless he draws something great. And Steve does have the follow up of the Minotaur. So
it kind of makes me wonder why Steve wants to kill the crab here. But
right, okay. So this is interesting. So by putting 2 counters here, he actually makes it so that Justin can't really move the equipment very well. On the other hand, like he does get a free block out of his creature.
Sort of. Steve's guys have menace.
Yeah, but like having that extra blocker just for 1 turn is pretty valuable. So Justin actually he drew a Evolving Wilds, which he got to toss away with his Tormenting Voice, and now he has Enigma Drake, and it looks like he's deciding whether he's going to attack. Almost certainly the mentor has to stay back.
I would agree with that.
So right now, Justin can play his Enigma Drake and has only the 1 Tormenting Voice in the yard, so it's not particularly menacing. Whereas both of Steve's creatures are menacing, and he can double block the Cursed Minotaur, but then he takes 5 damage from the other creature, and then 1 damage from its drain.
Yeah,
and that's not really
4, and then he has to double block the next turn.
Yeah, exactly, and it's pretty bad. I think keeping his flyer back to be able to double block the Plague Belcher is better.
So if he did double block the Cursed Minotaur, he could, in theory, draw Angler Drake, and it would be a great draw. He could bounce
or commit memory too.
Yeah. Yeah, he could be able to steal this game with like perfect top deck.
Right. So you have to consider, whereas this play, keeps you alive longer, assuming you don't have perfect draws. But is he actually going to win the games where like this game goes on like 6 more turns? Like Steve is a grip full of cards, so it might be that his best play is just to attack for 3 and then say, hey, just throw these 2 guys in front, trade off, like then hope to draw it out.
Yep.
So Steve,
that's the only way he can win.
Yeah. So Steve continues to draw into cards that he can't cast. And it's gonna be a tough game with Justin planning to block here. It looks like it's pretty good for Steve. I mean, I think if I'm Steve, I still just shove my creatures into the red zone.
Oh yeah.
Like the Minotaur does get eaten by the Harsh Mentor, but then you have a Plague Belcher that's lethal. You get to play a sure shot, and it's a pretty reasonable spot for you with Justin on 4, and you kind of have the Plague Belcher that you always have to keep 2 blockers back for unless he draws something.
Well, is Justin going to block the Cursed Minotaur? I think, yeah, okay, so he's just attacking with the Minotaur, so then he's...
Just attacking with Minotaur seems pretty bad because you just traded for the Harsh Mentor.
So if you're attacking with both, then that Belcher is going to get blocked with the Aven, I assume, because Justin left it back for a reason.
Right.
Looks like Steve's thinking about it.
But at least then the Cursed Minotaur gets through, and you get to eat one of Justin's guys. It's an interesting spot. Like, I think Steve is kind of seeing some of the ramifications of putting 2 counters on the Harshmender instead of 1 and 1, which would be better for him. On the other hand, like, Steve is happy to kind of make the game go longer because when he draws another land, he has these Gravediggers to bring back his Plague Belcher and just kind of keep the party going. Of course, Justin is only a couple lands away. We know he already has 1 land of embalming back his Aven.
Right, which Steve is not going to let him do.
Yeah.
His turn.
So, yes. So now, actually, that's actually a great draw from Justin, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, like, so he actually has exactly 5 cards in his yard, so he's got an attacker there. And it awkwardly, though, because of the Harshmender and the equipment, if he wants to move the equipment over, his Mentor would die, so his flyer can't really get by the Sure Shot this turn.
Right.
So it looks like he's just going to offer the trade. I think Steve's going to accept. If I was Steve, I would be pretty ecstatic about getting to trade these off.
Yep, me too. Again, it's just like Justin really needs to get in that damage.
Yeah. But so now Steve, this is a big turn for Steve. He really needs to draw a land.
Wow. Okay.
And he draws another 4-drop. So
no, he can't attack.
He can't attack, no, and he can't really block. So.
Oh wow!
And, another yeah. So it looks like a game that looked almost unlosable for Steve is actually just slipping out of his fingers. As Justin kind of keeps peeling on him and Steve keeps breaking on the land. It kind of looks like the theme of this matchup between our teams a little bit.
So I wonder what you do here. I wonder if it's worth equipping the Khopesh on the Serpent, jamming for 6, and then flinging it at Steve. Probably not.
I think that's not worth it. I think the play I think it's not a strong play. I think that I would probably just attack with the River Serpent. I think knowing Steve's deck list, he is fling, but that doesn't actually kill you. Like, there's nothing that really kills you here. You could just attack, but looks like he's going to fling away his Mentor and then equip and put Steve on jump block duty next turn.
Yeah.
Though if Steve draws a land, of course everything changes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. This play was much better than putting Steve to 1.
Yeah. You definitely want your River Serpent to stick around.
Well, with it being the best thing on the table and all.
Yeah. So.
This is quite a game.
It is, yeah. So awkwardly, let's say Steve draws a land. Well, I guess we're gonna see soon enough what's gonna happen because Steve did not block, and okay, the equipment moves over, and Steve, so that's actually an interesting draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's obviously just going to play that. He's not going to cycle it. So then we just have to examine are his blocks going to be next turn. It's almost certainly he's going to chump block with. The Wasteland Strike. Scorpion is going to block the River Serpent, and Steve could take the Heart Piercer and fall to 1 life. If he does that, then he wants to attack with the Cursed Minotaur. I mean, it's not actually unreasonable to do that because otherwise you're just throwing away your Cursed Minotaur. You're just chump blocking with it for no value.
Right.
And then, like, what are you going to do in the next turn? You're going to again chump block. Whereas if you attack and then play, like, if you draw a land, you get to just chain Gravedigger into returning Festering Mummy. Suddenly, like, you just keep chump blocking the Heart Piercer forever.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to hope that Justin draws a land, but
you have to hope he bricks. But yeah, no, attacking seems right.
I think it's the play is to attack and cross your fingers and plan on going to one life.
Yep.
So
he
decides. Steve decides that that's not going to be his line, which.
Oh, that's the other thing is Justin has 6 men. He had an avian initiate in his very
right. Anyway. So land was actually not a blank for him after all. So I guess Steve's play makes sense in that context, but on the other hand, I think you probably still need to attack and then hope to draw fling. Except I guess he boarded out fling, right? So
he did.
There, you can't hope to draw something if it's not in your deck.
You can hope.
Yeah, I guess you never know. You could have mistakenly kept it in. Yep. So here, just looking at this and knowing Steve's deck, I don't think he has any outs from this spot.
Yeah.
I think, barring Justin making an egregious error like moving his equipment over the Aven after combat, I think Steve is going to lose this one, and we're going to get to see a game 3, which I guess is exciting for all you guys back at home, but not quite as exciting from where I'm sitting. I
think it's pretty great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Come on, don't you want to show everybody another round? I guess we can see game 3 where Steve's on the play, and then hopefully wins that one, and then we get to battle back from 4 deep. I'm really hoping that you and I get to play Matt.
I am hoping that we don't.
Wow, where's your sense of sportsmanship? Don't you just do it for the love of the game?
Oh well, there is that.
All right,
my deck is not as bad as I make it out.
All right, so Justin decides just to attack with the Heart Piercer.
Don't like it. I don't like it.
I don't like that either. But on the other hand, if he equips the River Serpent and then he draws a land, he can. Oh no, he doesn't even need a land, right? He equips that, and he has Steve currently dead to.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, he does.
The ability. I still think that you could have attacked with the River Serpent pretty freely there.
I think so.
And
not looking great for Steve.
Unburden is kind of a little late to the party here.
Does Steve have a spray? I don't think he does.
No. But that wouldn't even do it.
No. You're right. There's a Mana Core in the grid.
Yeah, Mana Core is gonna pop off. So that was even though the good guys lost, that was a pretty exciting game to watch. So but just that's what they say. All it takes for evil to triumph is when good guys draw nothing. Or I think that's how it goes, anyways.
They do say that.
Yeah. So Steve's re-examining his deck, deciding if he wants to make any changes while he's on the play.
Justin looks like he's sticking.
Looks like Steve is boarding out his Unburden now that he's on the play. Kind of, he feels, I guess, that he wants to be jamming threats more on the play, whereas on the draw, Justin's going to be lower on cards. Unburden is going to maybe catch him unawares.
Yeah, I don't love that logic, I guess, but
I don't really love it either. I think I would have Unburden my deck against the counterspell deck, both on the play and on the draw, especially because it cycles. But right. Maybe Steve's just feeling salty about drawing that on his last turn when he's like, "Where are you, lands? Why is this happening to me? What have I done wrong?" And looks like we're actually waiting on Justin to submit here.
Yeah.
He's looking. Look, does he want floodwaters? Oh, and Steve looks like he's deciding maybe to bring that Unburden back in. Maybe he can like sense with his like spidey senses are tingling that I'm yelling at him. But
yeah,
Steve, you can do it. No, don't put it in the sideboard.
Oh, I don't know what you're doing. It's working though.
Yes.
Don't listen to him, Steve.
Steve. All right. So I want a nice strong opening hand. I'd like a turn 3 10-eb would be good into turn 5 glory bringer. Bring us some glory.
I'm fine with all of that happening as long as
it's Justin's counter spells. Yeah. That's no fun, Magic is about casting spells and having them resolve, all right, Matt?
I agree. Counter spells are rude.
That's why counter spells have gone down in recent years. It's much more fun when both players have a battlefield and one of them is attacking with a 5-mana dragon that destroys the opponent's battlefield. All right, so Justin has a hand that I assume is a keep, but he doesn't have red mana.
Yeah, it's.
Then Steve has bit of a slower hand too, also with no black mana.
Yeah.
So, see, the thing about Tormenting Voice, it's not actually that good if you don't have red to help you. It's better when you have red mana and no blue mana because it helps you find that.
Like many spells, it is less good when you can't cast it.
Right, but it does sometimes work as a mana fixer.
Sure.
So looks like we get to kind of watch.
Cycle a Scorpion and see if we get a swamp here.
Yeah, and then we also get to see both players playing monocolor. It's kind of like dual decks Jace versus Chandra.
It's just like that.
Yeah, and Steve drew the swamp, so now it's Justin's turn. He did not draw his mountain, but he does have the oldest of crabs.
Yeah, that crab's got that Watchers on lockdown.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Steve shows him who's boss by cycling in response. That's what it's about.
I'm sure Justin feels very stupid.
It's the battle of the artifact cat versus the crab, and I'm rooting for the cat.
This crab looks pretty good against a lot of Steve's creatures here. Crab with the swords.
Wow, look at this value though. Getting back to that scorpion he cycled. Whew. Whew. So yes, brick it again. Now
it's no good.
Yes, justice.
All right, crab, get him.
All right, now just Steve. Steve draws a land to final. Boom! Goodbye, crab. Get out of here. The beats commence.
It was a beautiful wall.
How many times in your life, Matt, have you seen Ancient Crab get final reward?
Get its final reward?
Yeah, it usually does not earn. Ooh, well, looks like this game is going to continue here because Justin's run his red source, which is also his land. So it's pretty unfortunate. Like, why couldn't he have been like Steve last game? Stuck on 3, but. I guess the magic gods favor those who live in Madison County again.
Yeah.
So if you're Justin, what do you play here? Now that you've finally drawn your red mana, you're like jumping for joy. You go and have a donut or something to celebrate, and then you come back and you decide, okay, I'm going to cast one of these spells. Probably not one of the 2-mana ones, right?
No, I don't think one of the 2-mana ones. Looking at Steve's list, he's got another final reward and 2 more like spot removal spells for the Minotaur, so it is kind of scary to play that Minotaur. I mean, I honestly, I'm tempted to just play a Harsh Mentor and equip, but I still think it's probably better to use all my mana. I don't know. I definitely have to think about it.
The other plays, of course, you could consider, though. I think I wouldn't do it because Justin has so many spells in his hand, but you could play the Warfire Javelineer just because a 2/3 actually matches up really well on the board here.
I'd rather just play my Minotaur and make Steve have a removal spell for it.
Right. I think that's the play I like the best, too. Just because it maximizes your mana. For instance, next turn you can cast Tormenting Voice, try and draw into a mountain, and then play Harsh Mentor and equip. Mm-hmm. Whereas, you can't make the similar play with the Minotaur. If Steve has a removal spell, then you kind of start falling back behind in tempo a bit. So I think we're both agreed on the play to make here, but looks like Justin still hasn't figured it out. He's kind of probably
the benefit of seeing Steve's hands with with no removal for it. So
right, but it's a play I think I would make even if Steve's hand had a removal spell. Like obviously, if he 100% has a removal spell, then the Mentor is kind of slightly more attractive, but it kind of works out similarly in the next turn, anyways. Like because the extra mana to equip makes the mentor trump over Steve's board.
Right.
Might as well have
Justin's hand is so good that I don't think the Minotaur being able to get in, 5 damage or more is necessarily going to be as big of a deciding factor in this game as it often is.
Yeah.
So it's probably just going to mostly be on defense for most of the early game or mid game.
So I guess one card we're not talking about that Justin could theoretically cast is the Commit Memory. One reason I don't like that is because if he draws one more land, let's say an island, then he can cast that and Magma Spray in the same turn. Also, neither of these creatures are really that threatening by themselves. Like it seems like Steve is just going to replace it with something slightly better, anyways. So what he could do though is he could be afraid of Steve playing a powerful threat and like he could commit that, but
yeah.
So this is when Steve needs to draw Glorybringer, which he Justin doesn't know that he doesn't have, but it's very likely that he did not have last turn.
Splendid Agony instead. How does that sound?
It sounds splendid, I guess. I don't know. It's would not be my my choice of draw. So
first choice, okay. I think I'm ultimately happy with it.
Yeah, you would be. So I think here I would probably cycle the Scorpion, see what you draw. Probably if you draw a blank, you could play the Minotaur, the Cursed Minotaur. Well, that's
good turn for Justin.
Yeah. The Gravedigger's not the worst card Steve could draw.
No, certainly not. Now, if you're Justin, I think you're just playing Island and passing.
So it looks like Justin's thinking of casting Magma Spray right now.
I'm not sure why, though. Maybe is he afraid of Fling?
Potentially afraid of Fling, yeah.
Except that Commit to Memory just really kind of...
I mean, it's not that good because he would Magma Spray and then Steve would Fling, and he would have to use his Commit Memory on the Fling.
Yeah.
At this point, Steve, I think the Commit Memory is basically face up because Steve knows that Justin didn't equip the Hone Kopesh, and since he has deckless, he knows the only spells he has besides Commit Memory are Cancel and Reduce, which both of those Justin would have equipped the Minotaur.
So you could just hit this as a spell if you are thinking about land Fling or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a good turn of events for Justin here.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So this is actually a somewhat interesting turn because you aren't guaranteed to have another land. You could play this Javelineer here and kill one of these 2/2s, but they don't really matter. And because you have the Tormenting Voice, you get to kill something better later.
Well, if you do that, though, you can attack without exerting, and then next turn you can attack and exert.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good. On the other hand, like you do have a bunch of good spells you could draw with Tormenting Voice, and you could also draw into a red source that would allow you to play your Warfire Javelineer anyways.
Right.
So I think in this spot I would probably Tormenting Voice, assuming that there's still Cancel and Reduce in his deck. Just it feels like you're in a pretty good spot here. Steve clearly doesn't have a removal spell. And he has one draw because his next draw after that is going to be the 4/2.
Right.
And also, there's a good chance that you'll want to kill the 4/2 with this Javelineer.
So maybe Justin is just doing this so he can flashback Commit to Memory. Get ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's a reasonable line to take. I think.
Like what he's doing. Maybe not.
So Steve's got a couple of choices here. None of them particularly great. He's stuck on one black mana.
Yeah.
So it looks like Gravedigger, returning Gravedigger.
It's a lot of value.
It is. It makes it pretty attractive though for Justin to commit to memory on his following turn, which I think is probably where things are going to go.
Yeah. Although Justin knows there's a 4/2 on top of his deck.
Right.
He casts Gravedigger this turn, so maybe he just. I mean, we'll see what he draws, but maybe he casts his spells and then the next turn he does it.
Ooh, well.
So maybe he does.
Yeah. Well, I'm sadly going to call it now that I think you guys are going to win this one 5-1. I don't think Steve can really come back from this spot.
Well, I didn't think that Justin could come back for last game, so.
Right, but Justin's not horribly mana screwed this game, so.
Yeah, that's true.
We did get to see Evolving Wilds in the two-color deck in action, because there's a 50% chance that Evolving Wilds would have been an island, which would have been worse here for Justin, I think.
So it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I would need to go back and look to see if he could have used a second red source earlier. If the other 50%, you had to give up.
Well, he just drew the Evolving Wilds. It would have been better as a red source because he could have cast his harsh Mentor and the Javelineer. But in this spot, I think you get to attack and exert probably, or you could just attack and take a 2 for 1. I think that's a reasonable line to take as well, and then just add 2 creatures to your board.
I think I would exert, but I think I would have attacked with Warfire Javelineer. Maybe not. It just trades for 1. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, that's better not to.
No, if you're exerting, you definitely don't attack. I think if you aren't exerting, then you can attack with the Javelineer. Which is one reason I actually think I liked not exerting slightly better. I think it's just like that Steve is drawing the 4/2, so you have this Kefnet that you're going to get to attack with next turn.
Yeah.
So, interesting thing here is that Steve's best play might actually, because he knows the commit memories in the yard. Just passing, yeah, because he could draw into a final reward or deem worthy or something. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it seems kind of grim for him. And then, of course, if Justin declines to flash it back, he could play his Splendid Agony. I think just playing Gravedigger here is pretty bad, but I guess you get back the
Scorpion,
the Wasteland Scorpion. I think last turn he didn't have time to get back the Gravedigger and start the chain. I think you really needed to get back the Scorpion, especially knowing again that Justin has that commit memory in his yard that he can just use at any time, reset everything, and so like all the incremental advantages you gain are it's all that really matters is just what you have on the board.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I think as weird as it is, I think just passing is probably the best play.
Yeah, it looks like he's thinking about it for sure. And we'll see what Justin draws. I'm sure Justin hopefully knows what's up, but it's so hard to not. Okay.
Yeah.
He's going for it. Yeah.
Well, I think that's pretty much. Oof. Well, Justin keeps drawing cards to make him not cast this commit memory. Yeah. I think I would consider
just slamming this thing, and
yeah, I probably would just slam this thing, bounce the Watcher. I don't know. Bouncing the Watcher isn't even that good. Maybe you want to even bounce Gravedigger. Hope that Steve casts it again. I know it's weird, but I think that actually just casting commit memory is better here.
I agree. It's really hard to just not cast commit memory. I mean, just getting in 5 damage and having a Kefnet.
Right. I think you actually get to attack with both of your ground creatures too, because Steve can't double block both of them. Right. So Steve gets one double block, and then the other one, goes through or gets chumped, and which brings him to 2 life. Justin, of course, gets to know what 7 cards he draws before making that decision with how to attack with the ground guys. What he doesn't get to do, of course, is to play a land and then equip the Kefnet, because he needs to keep all 7 of those cards in his hand. So it looks like he's going to cast the Drake.
Yeah, I don't love it, but it's hard.
It's hard to turn down. It's it's probably one of the only cards that Justin could draw that he's going to cast there.
I think I would have bounced Gravedigger though.
Yeah, I think as weird as it is, bouncing Gravedigger was probably better. This game is all about tempo, really, because of the commit memory is going to just potentially reset everyone's hand.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, so he drew his final reward, but
yeah, but it's pretty much too late here. I think he needed to draw Glorybringer, but was even Glorybringer good enough? Maybe not. Maybe that's
like the same as final reward this turn.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel Kefnet.
Right. I mean, I think it looks like Steve is just dead. Yeah. Assuming that Justin does cast his spell. I don't see how Steve can get out of this. Well, we'll see. We'll see if maybe Justin screws up, but I doubt it.
Yeah,
I think this game is about to be over, and with that, our match. But
Justin could draw another amazing spell next turn. So
I think turning down actual lethal is a different thing.
What if it's like Heart Piercer Manticore?
I mean, yeah,
tempting.
I actually hope that he draws that, because I guess that does that even give Steve outs? No,
no, he's just dead. Yeah,
yeah, he also just dies. So, but I still hope he draws it just for the value. Oh, all right, cycle, 2 damage there.
Oh, hope to draw land. Yeah.
Yeah, but it just still doesn't even get the job done.
Right. I think he's just banking on Justin forgetting about his.
Yeah. Oh, maybe Justin wants to hold up his cancel.
Maybe not.
It seems like not. Ooh, yeah. We don't even. Oh, updated hand cams. I don't get to see what. Ooh, Justin is a nice one. All right.
Yeah. All right.
And that's the match. Well, good games, gentlemen.
Good games.
Yeah,
it was a pleasure.
It was, yeah.
It's too bad they not play our match.
No, it's very, very sad, but well fought, and maybe we'll get to rematch in the top 4, hopefully. And yeah, that was kind of a fun match to watch, though. I thought game 2 that Steve was a huge favorite, and then Justin managed to pull it out, and then game 3 was a sweat for both of them, as they were on one color, and then Steve drew his first, and then Justin drew his, basically, I think, the last possible turn he could to get back in the game.
I think so. Yeah, Steve's draws were just too clunky.
Yeah.
The game 2 is especially egregious, just stopping on 3 mana for 1,000 years.
Yeah, he did get punished a little bit, I guess, for boarding out a land, though I don't think he drew any of the cards that he'd boarded into, but yeah, you never know. Seems like, watching how game 2 and game 3 played out, it didn't actually seem that Steve was going to lose from flooding out that much in the match. Yeah, well, I hope all you guys enjoyed the show. You can see the schedule for next week is going to be Gamers Helping Gamers versus Goat Stew. So, Dem Boyz took down Goat Stew last round, and Gamers Helping Gamers, I believe, lost to Team Limited Resources. So both those guys are staving off elimination, and should be an interesting one to watch. As I think I said last week, it's like a team draft on the Sunday of a Pro Tour in 1997, and it should be some good magic, maybe some good trash talk. We'll see. I think that's really it for this week. Thanks for watching, and take care, everyone.
Bye.